set of flood inundation maps that we had just recently finished for Independence. So you may be asking, what's the Iowa Flood Center? Well, we are a state-funded research center at the University of Iowa. We're housed at IIHR, Hydroscience and Engineering. And basically, it was kind of born out of the 2008 flood in Iowa City. We realized that there was kind of a lack of information and some resources that we could use during the floods of 2008. So we are a group of research scientists and graduate students and engineers at the university, and we kind of have expertise in hydrologic modeling, which would include watersheds, and also hydraulic modeling, so things like rivers. And then we also deploy our own sensors throughout the state. So we are taking what's already out there, the Weather Service and NOAA, they do an excellent job, but we are taking those resources and kind of adding in some of our own to make them specific for Iowa. So as part of that, we make what are called flood inundation map libraries. So the way you can get to some of those are if you go to our website at www.iowafloodcenter.org. There's a link to our web interface where all of the data from the different research groups kind of comes together. And we call this IFIS, the Iowa Flood Information System. So you can click on this green button to launch IFIS, and we'll dive right in and kind of show you the Independence maps. So this is just an overview of Iowa. You'll see some kind of sensor alerts for high water in the river stage. But to get to the maps, you can go to this. There's a home that appears to be flooded. You can go to the Iowa flood maps or flood maps for Iowa communities. And these are all of the communities that we've made these inundation map libraries for in Iowa. Independence is a little hidden there. So what just happened, I clicked and it's actually showing the outline of the watershed that drains into the Wapsie. And some more background. So what we found in Iowa City, and I would assume it's the same in lots of communities, the Weather Service will forecast a river stage for the gauge in different Iowa towns. They might say your gauge is going to peak at 18 feet, let's say. And so people don't really know what that means as far as their home or their business. So what we've done is we've gone through and made a map for each one of these river stages. So if we were to kind of pull this up to 18 feet, you can kind of bring up what might flood at that river stage. So the way we do this is we've made a hydraulic model. We were in town here a year or two ago, and we took a boat. And surveyed the riverbed all the way up to the railroad bridge. And then downstream of here, of the dam, we took kayaks and kayaked all the way down. Collected what we call bathymetry, which are just bed elevation measurements. And then we take this information and make a 1D, 2D coupled model. And so what we can do is, for each one of these river stages, there's a flow associated with it. For your gauge, so for 18 feet, that's equivalent to a flow rate at the gauge of 22,000 cubic feet of water per second. So for half-foot stage intervals, we've gone through, and as you drag the slider, you can see the flow increase. Right here, you can see that it's telling us stage and then discharge. So basically, this is in a Google Maps interface, so you can zoom in and kind of see approximately what will be flooding at certain forecasts. And then also there's this added feature of water depth that you can also turn on. and see how deep certain areas will be at this flow rate. Now we've also added the return period floods, which I'm sure all of you are probably familiar with what's called the 100-year flood. You've had 3 of them. So these maps are meant to be non-regulatory. From what I understand, you guys are going through a FEMA map revision period now, and they'll be modified. So these are non-regulatory in nature. They're only meant for information purposes. So we have some of the return period flows just for reference in here as well, from 10 up to 500-year flood, which will probably be different than what FEMA has because these are a different model, different analysis. So that's kind of the main data for Independence. I also kind of wanted to show what else is available. Whoops. I can go into this and search for Independence, and it'll pop up. I can select this location, and then once again it'll show the watershed boundary outline. So any drop of water that lands within this red outline will ultimately drain to Independence. So another group at the Iowa Flood Center produces radar rainfall maps. So you can go up to the cloud on here and select cumulative rainfall. So what this does is it will show you cumulatively what rainfall has fallen in your watershed. So I can go back through time and it'll keep adding flow on top, or adding rainfall on top of this. So as of April 9th, there have been some portions of ½ inch to 1 inch of rainfall and 1 to 2 inches. So this is to kind of give you a better idea of what's happening upstream of you. Another feature, we can turn off the cumulative rainfall. There's also a stream gauge view that we can see. The yellow ones are the USGS stream gauges. And then also we have one sensor in the upstream portion of the watershed that's our sensor. So these sensors basically use kind of a ultrasonic sensor. So it'll send a sound wave off of the sensor, which are typically mounted to the side of a bridge, and then it will bounce off of the water surface and bounce back up, and then it measures the time of travel. So it knows how far away the water surface is from the sensor. So we have a few more of these across the state. We're always looking to add more, so I mean, if requests are made to have them added upstream of you guys, that's something that we can certainly work out. I can just show you all of the.
Is there any coordination with the federal or the state gauges, or those who watch that kind of thing?
Yeah, so the all of the yellow squares that you see are, most of them are USGS gauges. Right. So they maintain a good network in Iowa. We have a lot more gauges here than other states do. The yellow ones, or the green ones with the black dot, are our sensors, and we have coordinated with the Iowa DNR and the Iowa DOT to place these in areas where they would like to have more